welcome back or welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the spicy Latina trope part 2. Part 1 is basically about the trope within media, film industry, cartoons, all of that. And then the second video is going to be more about like the trope within like real life. Something I'm going to be mainly talking about in this video is fetishization. I understand that fetishization is something that can happen to any race, any gender. The way that I'm going to approach this video, like taking that into consideration, is that I'm going to be mainly talking about Latinas and how they're affected by that and just branch off from that. But yeah, let's continue on. When one is fetishized, they are also objectified. They are generalized. Before I continue on, I want to emphasize the difference between a racial fetish and preference. Here in this article, the author states that ultimately a racial fetish is more than just a matter of a preference or having a type. The real problem with them is that they reduce a whole complicated person to one trait, leaving you never really sure if the fetishizer likes or even sees you for who you really are. And there's nothing flattering about that. Now, basically, there's a lot of videos that have this sort of premise of how to get a Latina. And the thing is that they kind of go about it in a way where they generalize Latinas. One of the main reasons why this type of way of talking it feels unsettling to me is because of how they generalize them. In many instances, when they talk about, for example, certain attributes related to fetishization, they don't do it in a way that is necessarily a compliment. Like, it seems like a compliment in the outside, but in reality it's more like a backhanded compliment, because in many cases they will say certain things like they're very loud, they get jealous really fast and all of that stuff, but then they're like, oh, but they're also sexy and they're this and that, so it's fine, I'll put up with it. We're all distinct individuals, and to completely put people within these boxes is very unfair. They're talking about your race and they're not talking about you. The thing is that some women, when receiving these type of comments that kind of fetishize them, they take it as a compliment. They take pride in it. A recent example of this is DaniLeigh and a recent scandal she was in regarding the song called Yellowbone. Yellowbone, what do you want? According to Urban Dictionary, yellowbone is a slang, mostly southern term for a black female with a very light complexion. Sometimes they are mixed, but this is not always the case, as black people come in many different shades. The term is primarily used by African Americans and can be taken into serious offense if used by another race. The point is that allowing these types of racial fetishes to occur isn't a good thing. On one hand, you have a dude who thinks it's okay to use a woman as a status symbol and to level up according to his colorist mentality. And on the other, you have a girl who thinks it's okay to use her now ex-boyfriend's racial fetish as a flex. She's supporting it and showing her true colorist intentions. So there's a wonderful video and she basically has a video called The Rise of the Pick Me Girl Meme. And I feel like this is also related to when one is fetishized. Another thing that I want to talk about is the idea of putting down other women or putting down other men when fetishizing a certain group of people. So to talk about this subject, I think it'll be best to go to TikTok. So in TikTok, I basically posted a little snippet of one of the videos I posted on YouTube, and I did it multiple times, but basically 2 comments that caught my eye. It's sad these same stereotypes are used against black women, yet they are demonized, and Latina women are praised for it. So I agree to a certain extent, because I feel like the demonization versus the praising of one is more of a matter of colorism. We can't necessarily say like, oh yeah, Latinas receive this treatment as a whole, and no matter if you're fetishized or demonized, like, you can argue in terms of like who has it worse, but it won't do any good. It's best just to fight against the normalization of racial fetishization. Another thing that I want to point out is something that like these 2 comments basically said. So I would say in terms of weak links, that's both genders can have it, and it is also something that happens within all types of races. There are certain people, no matter what race you're in, that are going to be like, nope, I'm not gonna date people within my race because of, A, B, C, D, whatever the reasons they may find. And it happens. It's not always a nice thing, especially when it's linked to colorism, because in many cases it is. It's negative. So one of the reasons that people end up becoming weak links, as they said, is mainly because they actually fall for the stereotypes that are associated with people from their own race. And that's the reason why they kind of come to those conclusions that, like, oh, black women are, very loud and ghetto, and that's the reason why we shouldn't date them. Or Latinas are very, ghetto as well, and that's why we shouldn't date them, right? So they come to those type of conclusions because they actually believe the stereotypes that are associated with their own people. And many people will be like, well, you're a Latino as well, or you're black as well, or you're whatever race as me as well, so why don't you like your own people? And while some people it's in terms of preference, it could also be in terms of, colorism, or just, actually falling for the stereotypes that are associated with your own people. And I don't think any of that is a good thing. I don't think fetishization is a good thing either, but it happens, I also would like to read a couple comments. So this person basically said, the over-sexualized underage Latina girl who wears red lipstick and is only eye candy. And I agree with these comments, but I also would stress that some of these things do apply to people, but the negative thing is that the generalization is the main issue, and that's what I would like to stress. The main reason why it even irks me when we are talking about stereotypes or generalizations is the matter of fact that it's not going to apply to everyone. It's not going to be something that can be applied to everyone. And in some instances, it's actually quite messed up to even have that generalization in the first place, instead of actually getting to know that person. But at the same time, I feel like we're never going to get rid of generalizations and stereotypes because we're always going to have preconceived notions in some sort of way. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. So I think I'm going to end the video here. But yeah, anyways, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you would like to watch more content like this. Anyways, stay safe, y'all.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so down, yeah. Can you tell me why? Can you tell me why?